Hello, everybody. This is Teacher Levy. Today, I'll be filming another slow English video. This time, I am dog walking, or I am taking my dog for a walk. We can say to take my dog for a walk. This is the leash. You can see the leash. And these videos are meant for, notice meant instead of meant, they are meant for intermediate or advanced level students who are looking to perfect their listening comprehension or improve their pronunciation. I am on a trail that is supposed to take me, supposed to take me to a lake. This is my dog while I am in the countryside. She is a Belgian Malinois. Her name is Anna. Sit. See, she is very smart and she chewed her leash, but she loves going for walks. So she is panting. Panting is when you are going like this. She is panting because she is maybe out of shape. Out of shape means that you do not exercise enough. There is a deer in the distance. I will see if I can film it. You can see the deer in the distance right there. There it is. There it is. There it is. So, panting, we can say when we are out of breath. We are out of breath. Sometimes we are panting. When we are panting, we are trying to catch our breath. To catch our breath. If we say we are out of shape, it means we do not exercise enough. We are out of shape. Notice, not out, but out. Out of shape. This is, again, a hunting stand behind me. A hunting stand. I was having a conversation with one of my students who enjoys my videos. He said these videos are very helpful, but nothing beats lessons where you can talk to a teacher. Nothing beats is an expression which means nothing is better than, nothing beats talking to somebody, a teacher or a language partner. Notice partner instead of partner, language partner. You can also practice saying partner, language partner. So it made me want to, notice want to instead of want to. Want to is okay, but we can practice saying want to. it made me want to encourage all of you to speak. Speaking is really helpful with a native speaker, but some of you might not have access to a native speaker or native teacher, so you can find perhaps a non native. Notice also native instead of native. Native is okay, but you can practice saying native, a native speaker. You might then find a non native speaker or teacher, non native, or a friend who speaks well or just speaks better than, hey, speaks better than, notice better instead of better, better than you. If they speak better than you, they will help bring you up to their level. Sometimes you may have the opportunity, notice opportunity instead of opportunity. Opportunity is okay, but you can practice saying opportunity. You may have the opportunity to coach or mentor. Mentor is similar to teach. You may have the opportunity to help somebody less fluent than you improve their English. Notice fluent instead of fluent. Fluent is okay, but you can practice saying fluent. They are less fluent than you. Teaching is a great way to improve your own skills. When you are teaching somebody or helping them improve, you are also improving at the same time. There is a good rule that you can try to follow. This rule is the rule of thirds. 1/3 is 33. Notice 30 instead of 30. 33% you should spend your time speaking with people who are better than you. Again, better instead of better. 33% or 1/3 of your time should be spent with people who speak better than you. The next 33% should be spent with people who are on a similar level as you. And the last 33% should be spent with people who are on a lower level than you. Of course, if you are a very beginner, then perhaps talking to somebody who is even more of a beginner than you might not be super beneficial. But at that point, you can just study together. Notice point instead of point. You can also practice saying point at that point or good point. Good point. I also want to talk a little about maintaining vocabulary. There are a lot of people who say that they are forgetful. Notice forgetful instead of forgetful. Forgetful. They say they are forgetful, and the vocabulary that they learn, they forget instantly. She is a little bit tired, so perhaps I'll stop here and talk for a while. So, a good way to maintain or remember the vocabulary you learned is to have a list. Perhaps when you are watching these videos, you are learning new vocabulary. Maybe it's only one or two words, or maybe it's a couple phrases or expressions. I recommend to everybody to have a list, a journal, or a online notepad where you can have all your vocabulary terms that you learned. Whenever you take part, to take part is to participate. Whenever you take part in a speaking class, you should have this list of words, phrases, or expressions in front of you. Notice in front instead of in front. In front is clear, but you can practice saying in front of me, in front of you. You should have this vocabulary list in front of you so you can practice forcefully using these words. Try to find sentences or try to talk about topics where you are able to use your new vocabulary. There is a saying, if you don't use it, you lose it. If you don't use it, if you don't use something, you lose something. People say this about skills. Language or learning a language is a skill, it's a process, and if we don't use the new words, we lose them or we forget them. Some years ago, I met a student online. Notice met instead of met. I met a student online who spoke very well. He was from Brazil, as I remember. He was from Brazil. And I asked him, what methods do you recommend for my other students to speak like you can speak? What is your secret? Notice secret instead of secret. What is your secret? He told me that he mimicked. To mimic is to copy. He mimicked the show Friends. Friends is a famous American show. It's a bit older now. Notice bit instead of bit. It's a bit older now, but it is very famous for learning English. He said that he mimicked Friends. He had a neighbor in his apartment. Notice apartment instead of apartment. He had a neighbor in his apartment building. I should say. He was living in the city in Brazil, and he and his neighbor would practice speaking English every day. They would go over each other's houses or apartments and they would speak in English. He told me his writing skills. Notice writing instead of writing. His writing skills are slightly weaker. Slightly weaker means a little weaker. Notice little, not little. It is a little weaker than his speaking skills are because he didn't really practice writing. This is a taller hunting stand. There are many hunters here, and during the night, notice night instead of night. During the night, we can practice saying night throughout the night, during the night. You can hear gunshots, gunshots at night from the hunters. Wow. Literally, right after I said that, notice literally instead of literally, literally, right after, notice right after, literally right after I talked about the hunters, I found this used cartridge case. This is what holds a bullet. This has obviously been used, but right after saying that, I looked on the ground and I found this case. So, trying to speak as much as possible in English is key. There isn't a good shortcut. Notice shortcut instead of shortcut. Shortcut. There isn't any shortcut that I'm aware of that can substitute. Notice instead of substitute, I say substitute. You can also practice saying substitute while you're practicing your pronunciation. A substitute is a replacement. Sometimes in school, we used to have substitute teachers, and those teachers would come when our teachers were away or maybe they were sick, and we would have a substitute teacher. So there is no good shortcut or substitute that I'm aware of that can replace you speaking out loud. It is easier to think in English in your head, but to speak out loud is more difficult. That's why you can also practice speaking out loud to yourself. It is a little bit strange, but it is effective. Some of my students do it while they're on their way to work. They speak in the car for 20 to 30 minutes. Notice again 30 instead of 30. 30 is clear. 33 is clear, but you can practice saying 30, 33. So for 20 or 30 minutes, 20 or 30 minutes, they speak in the car out loud. And this could be about a different topic every time. You can even use AI nowadays to get a list of topics to talk about. And every day you can select a topic from the list and talk about that. Notice about that, talk about that for 20 or 30 minutes. It is, or it is, definitely better than nothing. Notice definitely instead of definitely. Definitely. It is definitely better than nothing or better than not speaking at all. Not speaking at all. I read a comment today from one of my viewers who said, "Tell us about yourself. What do you enjoy doing? What are your hobbies?" Perhaps I can put the comment here. And it got me thinking. It got me thinking. What are some hobbies which I don't do anymore? Notice don't instead of don't. I don't do anymore. And the first thing that came to mind, or came to my mind, is I thought of. The first thing that came to my mind, or I thought of, was fishing. I love fishing, but I haven't gone fishing in a few years because there hasn't been any opportunity. Notice opportunity instead of opportunity. There hasn't been any opportunity, and I have been busy doing other things, so I haven't been fishing or haven't gone fishing at all in the recent years. I also heard about the quality of the fish. Notice quality instead of quality. Quality is okay to say, but you can also practice saying quality. The quality of the fish, I heard, is not the same as it used to be. One of the locations where I used to fish had perhaps heavy metals that were found in the fish. Notice metals instead of metals. Heavy metals. We can practice saying heavy metals. They found heavy metals in the fish, and they recommended that pregnant women should not eat the fish. Notice pregnant instead of pregnant. Pregnant is clear. It is okay, but you can practice saying pregnant. Pregnant women should not eat the fish. But perhaps I will go on a trip to the mountains. Notice when we speak quickly, we say mountains. Go to the mountains instead of mountains. Mountains is okay, but you can also practice saying mountains. Go to the mountains, and up in the mountains, it would be quite amazing to do some fishing. Notice quite instead of quite. Quite is okay, but you can also practice saying quite. It would be quite amazing to do some fishing in the mountains. Hopefully you are finding these videos helpful. I saw a few comments that people were saying I should do a video that is meant, notice meant instead of meant, that is meant for lower level students, perhaps on the beginner level, for example, A2, perhaps A1, but I think I saw A2 level students requesting videos or similar videos, but in an A2 level. So perhaps that would be a good idea for a video that I could film in the future. Thank you for the many great comments. Notice great instead of great. Great. You can practice saying great. I feel great. Thank you for the many great comments. If you have any other feedback or tips or suggestions, you can write them in the comments. And if you support these videos, then feel free to like and subscribe, and I will be making more content similar to this. Thank you, and bye bye.